Hi, Dr. Mel here, busy with physics, and we are busy with the chapter on momentum. We are going to include Newton's second law, which you've done in a previous section, into the momentum work. So let's have a look at momentum and Newton's second law. Momentum will change. Remember, the first thing we did was, let me quickly remind you, momentum at one specific time, one mass, one velocity. Then we went on and we said the momentum can change, and this is the equation we used. The momentum will change if what changes? The velocity, which will give me a final and an initial velocity. We are going to apply that now when we work with Newton's second law. Remember the delta P, which is the change in momentum, of the same mass can be written in this format. Please remind yourself that the unit of momentum is still kilogram, and that is still meter per second. Do not change the equation or the units if you don't know what you're doing. Have a look at the change in momentum will be the same unit as just momentum of one mass and one velocity. Right. You can recall when we did equations of movement, the kinematic equations, we had an equation which said the final velocity will be the initial velocity plus the acceleration times the time. Now let's go and look at that equation before we get to this equation of Newton. So in this equation, you see different quantities, but some of these we did just now when we did momentum. So I'm going to take the final velocity and I'm going to take the velocity initial to that side. Now you see it becomes something that we did just now. The remaining part will be A delta T. I'm just going to write it in the right sequence, the same equation. Do you see that the A delta T is equal to the final velocity minus the initial velocity? And let's just get A on one side. So I'm going to divide here with delta T, and I'm going to divide that side with delta T, giving me the final velocity minus the initial velocity over delta T. And I'm going to say this is my first equation. Let's move on to Newton's second law. In Newton's second law, the net force will cause an acceleration of a specific mass. And now I can substitute this equation into that value of A, which gives me then, let me just take this arrow away, which then will give me the mass times and exactly what I wrote now down here, which is this. Now we can manipulate and we can say F net times the delta T will have that effect. Now let's quickly just have a look at what we have here. We are saying there will be a change in the velocity with the mass. And you know, we quantified that as the change in momentum. Well, how can the velocity change? When I exert a force, and not just a force, in a certain time, you can change the velocity, which in effect is the change in momentum, if I exert a force in a certain time. Now let's go back to that again. So we've got the change in momentum will be the same as this side, which is, and I'm going to write the change in momentum there, the F times the delta T. And we've got a specific name for that. That is a force, which is an impact on the mass, and that is a rate or a pulse. And those two words will now form a new word which you haven't done before, which we call impulse. So, what is the impulse? It's the net force times the delta t. And what does it do? The force will change the velocity, which in actual fact is a change in momentum. So we now added another equation to your equations that you can work out the change in velocity, the change in momentum, or just the impulse. Let's have a look. How are they going to ask it? So the net force will be acting on this object. This will be equal. Do you see the equal sign? To the rate, remember we said the time, of the change in momentum. So you can manipulate these equations according to what they give you and what's been asked, but mainly have a look at this on your information sheet, that you make sure that you are using the right equation for the right values that you've got to calculate. A question. A golf ball with a mass of 0.1 kilogram. I usually write down on my piece of paper, what are they giving me? Which information am I going to use? It's driven from the T. The ball experiences a force of 1,000 Newton. While in contact with the club, that's the hit, you hit the ball with the club and it moves away from the golf club at 30 meters per second. So they give me a velocity and we'll have to see which velocity that will be. They ask me, calculate the time that the golf club had contact with the ball. Now we know the ball was lying still, which means it had a velocity of 0. It was, as soon as it been hit by the club, it traveled with a velocity of 30 meters per second. So I've got a few quantities that I have, and then they asked me the time. Let us go to the equation. So I've got F delta T equals delta P equals, and you don't have to write all of this down, I'm just revising the theory with you. Now you've got values of the change in velocity and the mass. They gave me the force. They said it's 1,000 newtons. They asked me, what is the time? But they also gave me the mass. If I recall, it was a 0.1 kilogram. We know it traveled with 30, whilst in the beginning it was 0. How do we do this calculation? You will now take that answer there, which would be 3.1 times 30. 0.1 times 0 is 0. And I'm now going to deduct the 1,000 this side and take it to this side. What am I left with? Delta T is now 3 divided by the 1,000. And now, guys, have a look. You can either write it down as a decimal seconds, or you can write it down as an exponent. So you can have either of these three, the 3 times 10 to the power of minus 3. Any of these two answers would be the correct way. So delta T, they asked me, will be in contact with the club and the ball 0.003 seconds. And we know it's a very fast action. Let us have a look at the use of impulse. Remember, impulse is F delta T. So what's the use of it? Remember, the mass will have different velocities. We use it continuously with airbags, for instance, with seat belts, with all the safety things in moving objects. Because I have, let's say, a high velocity. I'm traveling at 180 kilometers per hour. And you know we've got to put that into meter per second, but that's not relevant now. If I'm traveling at 180 and I want to stop, let me quickly just make the two equations correct. So I'm traveling, which will be my initial velocity, and I want to stop, or I have to stop. You now know you're exerting a force. If this force is the brakes, you will probably go through the windscreen or bump into something. If I've got a delta t that's high in terms of time, let's say this is 10 seconds, then I know the impact of this force won't be as much. And that's what airbags do. Airbags gives you longer time to have this force exerted on you. So you don't get damaged that much, and you do not rearrange your face or your body because you had a time span before you actually went into the windscreen. And expect a short question on this. They usually ask, where do we apply impulse and Newton's second law? Another way that they ask the impulse is usually with a graph. Now, the graph they're giving me is, I've got a force exerted. Do you see force in Newton? And they actually gave me a value on my y-axis. And this force is exerted on a hockey ball. So it's a hockey field where they are playing hockey. And they said to me, the hockey ball is initially stationary. That means the VI, the initial velocity, is 0 and has a mass of 0.150 grams. And immediately, you heard me, I wanted to say 0.15 kilogram, because you know you've got to put that into the SI unit. How did I get to that? I said 150 divided by 1,000, and that gave me 0.15 kilogram. They asked me now to calculate the magnitude of the impulse. So they want me to calculate F times delta t. I've got delta t on my x-axis, which is 0.5. I've got F there, which is 150. So how are we going to do that with the graph? Well, you're going to work out the area of the graph. The change in momentum, and I'm writing this in words so that you know exactly what I'm saying. That is the delta P. So the delta P is F times delta T. Let's see, that will be the area under the graph. You know the graph was a triangle, so it's half base the height. Half of the base, remember it was the time, and the height was 150 newtons, which will give me an answer of 37.5. What's the unit of impulse? If it's F delta T, it will be Newton per, no, not per, multiply second, and you know delta P would be kilogram meter per second. So in each of these answers, you can either say Newton second, or you could use kilogram meter second. That's exactly the same. And I'm going to show you now how the units are exactly the same. Can you see what the impulse is? The solution to our problem. Let me quickly explain to you what we mean with the units being the same. I'm going to rewrite the equation again. I've got F delta T, and I here have delta P, or mass times the delta V. I can measure the delta V in meter per second. I know I measure mass in kilogram. So just let's leave that side. This side, I've got F, which is Newton times second. Remember what Newton's second law said. Let's quickly write it down. It said the net force equals MA, with M being kilogram and A being meter per second square. Now let's put that unit into this equation. So the Newton, this Newton, is equal to kilogram, have a look, meter per second square. And now I multiply it with the second. And can you see, we could have set it to the exponent 1. Can you see now? We get kilogram, meter, and I deduct that 1 from the minus 2, giving me 1, and that's exactly what I had there. So have a look at your equations, see which one you want to use, but always also check what unit you write down with your answer. Let's quickly have a look. Can you state Newton's second law? Remember, Newton's second law said F net equals ma. But in this case, in terms of momentum, and now you've got to say Newton's second law in terms of momentum is actually the impulse. You have to be able to explain the relationship between the net force and the change in momentum, which is the one I've written down there. Calculate the change in momentum. Remember, it can either be that or it can be this. Can you define impulse? Impulse is F delta T. Use this theorem and then finally apply this to safety conditions, specifically for cars, for aeroplanes, for anything that's moving at high speeds. I hope you enjoyed momentum as much as I did. Bye-bye.